If you look at how the car market has evolved since this generation of Vitara was launched in 2015, you'll see there's been no dent in buyers' appetites for SUVs and crossovers. Sure, at times there has been difficulty in supplying SUVs and crossovers due to the COVID-19 pandemic, but as far as demand goes, they're still right up there as top dogs. If you look at the best-selling cars in the UK so far this year, you'll see more crossovers than ever before, with cars such as Ford's Puma and Cougar displacing hatchbacks such as the Fiesta and Focus. Ironically, in parallel towards this shift towards bulkier vehicles has also been a drive to make our cars cleaner. Electrification has been a buzzword, and there are hybrids and EVs everywhere, and that includes your local Suzuki dealership, where the Japanese brand now has what it calls 100% hybrid. You can't buy a new Suzuki without it coming with some kind of hybrid system fitted. Now, we think that claim is a little misleading because in reality, a lot of Suzuki's models are only fitted with a mild hybrid system rather than a full hybrid setup. And in the grand scheme of things, mild hybrids are to the world of electrification what casual joggers are to the world of athletics. The Vitara is one of the few Suzuki models that is available as a mild hybrid and a full hybrid, and its name is rather imaginatively Suzuki Vitara Full Hybrid. Anyway, on paper it sounds really intriguing, and that could be very interesting for a heavily congested class. After all, the Vitara has already made a name for itself for being good value, roomy, reliable and supported by a dealer network that scores consistently well for customer satisfaction. Not only that, but this generation of Vitara has always been pretty decent to drive, so adding a full hybrid system should reduce running costs, which should be a win-win. Not necessarily so, because that hybrid system robs boot space, so it's turned from a practical small crossover to one that is merely okay. Overall, luggage capacity stands at 289 litres versus the 375 litres in the mild hybrid Vitara. You can at least still fold the rear seats down in a 60-40 split. The space you lose is basically everything under the boot floor. Yeah, I could maybe store a couple of pieces of paper. Not very practical. I mean, it's still reasonable by class standards, but I just can't help but feel we're paying more money for less space. Rear seat accommodation is unchanged, which means it's no limousine, but still perfectly good by class standards. Do note, however, that the panoramic sunroof that's fitted to higher spec SZ5 models like this one does eat into headroom a bit. The front seat is roomy enough, and the Vitara's boxy styling and raised driving position do give it a feel of a mini off-roader, which we like. Now, the design in here and the finish is not going to trouble BMW designers. There are some plain, hard, scratchy plastics on view. However, it's not completely bargain basement because there are some soft, squidgy materials, especially across the top of the dash here. The infotainment is perfectly functional and better than the aftermarket systems fitted to older Suzukis. That said, it's still a little basic in terms of graphics and menu layout. Apple CarPlay and Android Auto do come as standard on all new Vitaras, both mild hybrid and full hybrid, so that's good. Equipment levels do vary by trim, but it is worth pointing out that even the entry-level ZST is still bursting with gadgets. Expect keyless entry and start, 17-inch alloy wheels, LED headlights, blind spot monitor, traffic sign recognition and 7 airbags. Move up to the SZ5 and you get the panoramic roof and front and rear parking sensors, among other goodies. You can also choose to have your Vitara full hybrid with either front-wheel drive or Suzuki's all-wheel drive system, which is called All Grip. Now, you won't really notice the difference on day-to-day driving, but if you do need to venture off-road, then it's a pretty decent performer. Unfortunately, we won't be doing that today. When we've reviewed the Vitara in the past, we've always been impressed with its willing engines and dynamic drive. It's one of the few small crossovers that's actually quite good fun to drive. The problem with the full hybrid is that it's not as much fun to drive as the cheaper, more simple, mild hybrid Vitara. The full hybrid powertrain combines a 33 horsepower electric motor with a naturally aspirated 1.5 litre petrol engine to produce a total of 115 horsepower. While not fast by any stretch, it's not a bad powertrain and as such can run in electric mode at low speeds and when coasting. The problem, however, is the gearbox it's attached to. It's called AGS, which stands for automatic gear shift. It's not a proper automatic, it's a manual gearbox with an automatic shifter to change the gears. And manufacturers like them on paper because they're lighter and therefore reduces vehicle weight and improves fuel economy. However, automated manuals don't tend to be the best gearbox from a driver satisfaction standpoint. Now, we will say that the AGS system is smoother than other automated manuals we've driven in the past. However, gear changes do take quite a long time, which is fine if you're just pottering around. But as soon as you want to drive more briskly, you will notice that pause in between gear changes. Along with the difference in boot size, it's a key reason to go for the mild hybrid version of the Vitara instead, which comes with a manual gearbox as standard. The mild hybrid is also slightly more powerful and slightly quicker. It goes from 0 to 62 miles per hour in just under 10 seconds, whereas the full hybrid takes 13 seconds to get there. Now, if you do want to override that delay in the gear changes, you can use these paddles here. But then that does kind of defeat the object of having an automatic. Thankfully, the rest of the Vitara experience is as convincing as it ever was, and you don't notice the extra weight on the hybrid system in normal driving. As such, whether you choose the mild hybrid or full hybrid, you'll find that the ride and handling are well judged, and it's impressively keen to turn into corners. You can expect it to be noisy on a motorway too, although it's not bad enough that you will actively avoid taking your Vitara on long journeys. The other thing that makes it hard to recommend this full hybrid Vitara over the mild hybrid is that both return pretty much identical fuel economy of around 45 to 50 miles per gallon in normal driving, and yet the mild hybrid model is around £1,800 cheaper to buy. What we have here in the Vitara Full Hybrid is a car that's more expensive to buy, not as good to drive, and has a smaller boot. So to justify that extra expense, you'd really want to have an automatic gearbox. Thing is, there are cars in its class that have better automatic gearboxes. With the Vitara then, it really does seem like less is more. The mild hybrid might have less technology, but it also weighs less and it costs less money, all while having more boot space and being a more satisfying drive. For us, it's the best Vitara there is, but which one would you choose? Let us know in the comments, and whatever car you're buying, please do remember to head to cargurus.co.uk to find loads of great deals from top-rated dealers.